Leo, you wouldn't dare change your application, Sophia threatened, her eyes red and puffy. I just smiled, and on the application form, I typed the letters I.T. In my first life, for this woman, I threw away a full ride to MIT to follow her to a third-rate state school. The moment we got there, she was with another guy. Reborn. I wasn't going to be her doormat again. Sophia started to panic. But you said you'd never leave me. That was the old me, I said, turning my back on her and walking toward my future. When the moment I saw my SAT scores, I felt like the whole world was laughing at me. A perfect 1600. With my GPA, that score was a golden ticket to any program at any Ivy League school. Yet, under the pressure of Sophia's tear-filled campaign, I was about to commit to the mediocre state school she could get into. Leo, are you really willing to give up MIT for me? Sophia whispered, leaning her head on my shoulder, her voice choked with emotion. Of course. We promised we'd be together forever, I said, stroking her hair, my heart swelling with what I thought was love. That was June 25th, 2018, the single most foolish day of my life. Because 3 years later, I would discover this woman was living with another man in college, pregnant with his child. When I confronted her, she said coldly, "Did you really think I loved you? I just needed a reliable backup plan." In that instant, my world shattered. I had given up MIT, my dreams, everything, only to be rewarded with her betrayal and scorn. Rage, despair, and pain crashed over me like a tidal wave. I stormed out of my dorm and ran blindly into the rainy night, right into the path of a speeding truck. And then I died. But when I opened my eyes again, I was lying in my high school bedroom. The screen of my phone glowed with a familiar date, June 25th, 2018. I was reborn on the exact day college applications were due. My heart hammered against my ribs as I shot up in bed, gasping for air. My roommates were still asleep, and sunlight streamed through the blinds, striping the floor. It was all real. I was back. I grabbed my phone. A text from Sophia was on the screen. "Hey babe, ready to submit our applications today? Remember to pick Southbridge State. I already checked. With your scores, you're a shoo-in." Seeing that message, pure fury surged through me. In my past life, I listened to her. I gave up MIT for Southbridge State University. It was a third-rate school where the average SAT score was barely 1,000, and I had a perfect 1,600. Scoring a 1,600 to go to a school that would accept a 1,000 was an act of supreme stupidity. But the young, naive me was drunk on what I thought was love, convinced that Sophia couldn't live without me. Looking back now, it was clear she was just using me. She knew her grades were mediocre and she'd never get into a good university, so she had to drag me down with her. That way, she could keep the prestige of having a genius boyfriend, keep using me to write her papers, do her lab reports, and ace her projects. And now I remember something else. The day we submitted our applications in my past life, her friend Chris Hayes was there. I thought he was just a friend, but now I understood. They were already together back then. I was just a tool, a placeholder. The rage was so intense, I nearly smashed my phone against the wall. I took a few deep breaths, forcing myself to calm down. If I was given a second chance, I had to plan this life properly. First, I would not be deceived by Sophia again. Second, I would get into the best university and achieve my dreams. Finally, I would make everyone who ever looked down on me eat their words. With that, I immediately replied to Sophia's text. "Sorry, I've decided to apply to MIT." Her call came less than a second later. "Now, are you insane?" she shrieked into the phone. "How could you do this? We made a deal. We were supposed to be together." "I just want to go to a better university," I said, my voice calm, a cold smile on my face. "But I can't get into MIT." Sophia's voice cracked, turning into a sob. "You can't just leave me behind." Hearing that familiar cry, memories of my past life flooded back. Every time I wanted to do something she didn't approve of, she'd pull this stunt, and the younger me would always cave. But not this time. "Sophia, we each have to be responsible for our own future," I said coolly. "You should choose a school that fits your scores." "Now," she screamed hysterically. "You've changed. You were never like this." Yes, I had changed. In my past life, I was a fool. This time, I was going to be smart. I haven't changed. I've just seen things more clearly. I said, and hung up. My phone immediately started buzzing again. Sophia was calling relentlessly, but I rejected every call. Finally, a text came through. Leo, are you really going to do this? Have you forgotten our promise? A promise? I let out a bitter laugh. Yes, in my past life there was a promise. We promised to go to the same college, get married, have kids, and grow old together. But that promise was built on love, not exploitation. I blocked her number. After doing it, I felt a wave of relief, as if I had finally broken free from a heavy chain and could breathe again. I pulled up the Common App on my laptop and, without a moment's hesitation, listed my first choice, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Computer Science. This was my dream in my past life, and it was the goal I would achieve in this one. After submitting the application, I remembered something. Last time, to stop me from choosing MIT, Sophia had even gone to my mom to persuade her. I had to get ahead of it. 2. When I got home that afternoon, my mom was in the kitchen. Leo, you're back. Wash up. Dinner's almost ready, she said, smiling warmly. Mom, I need to talk to you about something, I said, sitting down at the dining table. What is it? She asked, bringing a dish to the table. Is it about your college application? Yeah, I want to apply to MIT. My mom's hand paused for a second, then she nodded. That's wonderful news. Your scores are perfect for it. Why wouldn't you apply to MIT? Her support was a balm to my soul. In my past life, she had supported my decision too. It was I who had been blinded by Sophia. But Sophia, I started testing the waters. What about Sophia? Mom's brow furrowed. She is her, and you are you. She didn't get your SAT score for you. It seemed no one had gotten to her yet. This was my chance to give her a heads up. Mom, I need to be honest with you, I said, taking a deep breath. I'm not actually that happy with my relationship with Sophia. My mom put down her fork and looked at me seriously. Why? She seems like a nice girl. Her grades aren't good, and she always expects me to put her first, I explained carefully. I'm worried that being with her will hold me back. It was blunt, but I needed my mom to see Sophia for who she really was. Mom thought for a moment. Leo, I think you're right. You're still young, and the most important thing right now is to secure your future. Romance can wait, but if you compromise on your education, it will affect you for the rest of your life. You really think so? Of course, she said firmly. You're my pride and joy, and I want to see you fly as high as you can. If that girl truly loves you, she should be supporting your dreams, not trying to sabotage them. Hearing that, a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. With my mom on my side, I had nothing to worry about. Just as we finished dinner, the doorbell rang. Mom went to open it, and a familiar voice drifted in. Hi, Mrs. Miller, it's Sophia. My stomach tightened. She was here, just as I expected. Sophia, dear, come on in, Mom said politely. Sophia walked into the living room, her eyes red and swollen from crying. The moment she saw me, her face crumpled. Leo, why won't you answer my calls? I was having dinner, I replied flatly. Mrs. Miller, can I talk to Leo alone for a minute? Sophia asked, looking pleadingly at my mom. My mom glanced at me, and I gave a slight shake of my head. Sophia, whatever you have to say, you can say it here, Mom said, sitting down on the couch. We're practically family, after all. Sophia's expression soured, but she continued. Mrs. Miller, Leo wants to apply to MIT, but I can't get into a school like that. We'll have to break up. Well, that sounds perfectly normal, Mom said, looking at her strangely. You're not married. Why shouldn't you each apply to schools that are right for you? But we're in love. Sophia cried, getting agitated. Shouldn't people in love be together? Now, Sophia, that's not right. Mom's tone grew serious. Leo worked incredibly hard to get those scores. Why should he throw away a spot at MIT to follow you to a state school? You're not helping him. You're hurting him. Sophia was speechless, her eyes welling up with more tears. I had to hide a smirk. Mom was a pro. She dismantled Sophia's selfish logic in just a few sentences. Mrs. Miller, I know you want what's best for Leo, Sophia said, switching to emotional blackmail. But I really, really love him. I can't be without him. If he goes to Boston, we'll be long distance, and we'll probably break up. Then break up, I said suddenly, my voice terrifyingly calm. Sophia stared at me, her eyes wide with disbelief, as if she couldn't believe the words had come from my mouth. Now, how can you say that? Her voice trembled. Why can't I? I shot back. Sophia, let me ask you something. If you got a perfect score and were accepted to MIT, and I could only get into Southbridge State, would you give up MIT for me? Sophia froze. She opened her mouth, but no words came out, because we both knew the answer. If our roles were reversed, she would never sacrifice her future for me. She was only demanding this of me because she was the one who stood to gain. See, you can't even answer, I sneered. Since you're not willing to sacrifice for me, why should you demand that I sacrifice for you? I, Sophia stammered, completely at a loss. My mom watched from the side, a look of approval in her eyes. She had likely seen Sophia's selfishness for what it was. Sophia, I think we should break up, I said, driving the point home. What? Her eyes widened. You want to break up with me? Yes, I nodded. We're not right for each other. Why not? She demanded, jumping to her feet. What did I do wrong? I love you so much. I'd do anything for you. Anything, I challenged. Would you support my decision to go to MIT? Sophia was silent again. See, you don't really love me, I said, standing up. You just love the idea of a guy who does your homework, helps you study, and is willing to throw away his entire future for you. That's not true. Sophia burst into tears. Leo, let me explain. There's nothing to explain, I said with a wave of my hand. We're breaking up. It's better for both of us. With that, I turned and walked to my room. Behind me, I could hear Sophia's sobs and pleas, but I didn't look back. She fooled me once in my past life. I wouldn't fall for it again. Back in my room, I could hear my mom trying to console Sophia in the living room. But I knew that, deep down, she supported my decision. About half an hour later, Sophia left. My mom knocked on my door. Lau, can we talk? Sure, I said, opening the door. She sat on the edge of my bed, her expression a mix of emotions. Are you serious? You really want to break up with Sophia? Yeah, I nodded. Mom, I've realized we're just not compatible. She's too selfish. She only ever thinks about herself and never considers what's best for me. I've seen it for a while. Actually, Mom sighed. That girl is a bit self-centered. Someone who truly loves you should want you to be better, not drag you down. Hearing my mom's words warmed my heart. A mother's intuition is always sharpest. Mom, I just want to focus on my studies for now. I'm not thinking about relationships. That's for the best, she said, stroking my hair. You're young, and your future is the most important thing. When you've built a good life for yourself, you'll meet a much better girl. Talking with my mom made me feel a lot better. Over the next few days, I started preparing for the new chapter of my life. I bought books, started studying ahead, and worked out. My days were full and productive. Sophia didn't give up. She sent me messages every day, but I ignored them all. She even got her mutual friends to try and talk to me, but my mind was made up. Nothing they said could change it. Finally, the deadline for submitting college applications arrived. I went to school to drop off the final paperwork with my guidance counselor. As I walked into the main building, I saw Sophia waiting for me at the top of the stairs. Her eyes were swollen, and it was obvious she'd been crying for a long time. Leo, I'm begging you, please don't apply to MIT. She blocked my path, her voice thick with tears. Move, I said coldly. I was wrong, okay? I shouldn't have been so selfish, she pleaded, grabbing my sleeve. But I really do love you, and I can't live without you. Love me? I scoffed. If you really loved me, you'd support my decision. Duh. I support you going to MIT, she said hastily. But can you just wait 1 year for me? I'll retake my SATs, and I'll apply to MIT next year, okay? I almost laughed out loud. Retake her SATs and get into MIT? This was a girl who had never passed a calculus test, couldn't write an 800-word essay, and barely knew 1,000 words of Spanish. How was she going to get into MIT? Sophia, wake up, I said, shaking my head. With your academic foundation, you couldn't get into MIT if you had 10 years to study. It was harsh, but it was the truth. My words made her face go pale, but she still wouldn't give up. Then can we try long distance? I'll wait for you to graduate and come back. No, I said firmly. We've already broken up. Why? She practically screamed. What's so wrong with me? I can change. There's nothing wrong with you. We're just not a good fit, I said, walking around her. You'll find someone who's a better match for you. Leo, she yelled after me. You can't do this to me. You promised you'd protect me forever. I paused for a fraction of a second, but kept walking. Yes, I had said that. But that was a promise from a past life. This life was about me. I walked into the guidance counselor's office and handed her my forms. Leo, you're sure about MIT? Ms. Davison asked. I'm sure. All right, I'll submit it for you, she said, typing on her computer. With your scores, you're a lock. And their computer science program is one of the best in the world. Watching this submission successful message pop up on the screen, I felt a thrill of excitement. Finally, I had taken back control of my destiny. When I walked out of the office, Sophia was still standing by the stairs, staring at me with a dazed expression. You did it, she whispered, almost to herself. I didn't answer and walked right past her. Suddenly, she grabbed my arm. Leo, I'll tell you a secret. After you hear it, you can decide if you still want to break up. I frowned. What secret? Sophia took a deep breath, as if steeling herself. The thing is, I'm pregnant. What? My eyes went wide. I stared at her, completely shocked. Pregnant? How is that possible? We never. Wait. A memory from my past life surfaced. Right before I left for college, Sophia told me she was pregnant. I was terrified and rushed her to a clinic for a checkup. And the result? It was a complete lie. She had made it all up to trap me. Sophia, that's enough. I snapped, shaking her hand off me. Do you really think I'd fall for that? I'm not lying, she insisted, her voice rising. I'm really pregnant. Fina, let's go to the clinic right now, I said icily. If the test proves you're lying, we will never see each other again for the rest of our lives. Sophia's face instantly turned ashen, and her eyes darted nervously. Her reaction told me everything. I was right. She was lying. What's wrong? Scared to go to the doctor? I taunted. Sophia, you'll really say anything to get me back, won't you? She stammered, unable to come up with an explanation. From this moment on, we're officially broken up, I said, my voice resolute. Please stop harassing me. With that, I walked away without a second glance. I could hear her crying behind me, but my heart was made of stone. She had fooled me once. I would never let it happen again. Walking out of the school, I felt lighter than I had in years. I was finally free of Sophia. I finally had a fresh start. Back home, I started planning my summer. Since I was heading to MIT for computer science, I needed to prepare. I made a study plan, learn Python, read foundational books on computer theory, improve my public speaking skills, get in shape. In my previous life, even though I was an education major, I had always been interested in computers and had taught myself some basic coding. With that foundation, picking it up again shouldn't be too hard. Just as I was getting into my study plan, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello. Is this Leo? It's Chris Hayes. Chris Hayes, right? Sophia's friend and her actual boyfriend. In my past life, they were together all through college and even had a kid. What do you want? I asked coolly. I want to meet up. Talk about Sophia, Chris said. Tomorrow, 3 p.m., the Starbucks on Main Street. You good with that? Interesting. He was reaching out to me. Fine, I agreed. I was curious to see what he had to say. The next afternoon, I showed up at Starbucks on time. Chris was already there. He was an average-looking guy, but he had sharp, calculating eyes. Leo, hey, he said, offering a handshake. Let's just get to it. What's this about? I said, sitting down, not wanting to waste time. Chris smirked. I heard you and Sophia broke up. We're broken up? I corrected him. Why? He asked, feigning curiosity. I thought you two were so in love. I watched his expression, laughing to myself. This guy was a terrible actor. He was probably thrilled that I was out of the picture. We just weren't a good fit. That's all, I said simply. But Sophia's a wreck. She cries all day, Chris said. Does it really not bother you to see her like that? Why should it be my problem? I retorted. Chris was taken aback, clearly not expecting me to be so blunt. Leo, you've changed a lot, he said. You weren't like this before. People change, I said, taking a sip of my coffee, especially after they've been through certain things. What things? He pressed. I looked at him, suddenly wanting to test him. Chris, let me ask you something, I said, putting my cup down. Do you have feelings for Sophia? The color drained from Chris's face, and a flicker of panic crossed his eyes. Why would you ask that? Just curious, I smiled. You seem so concerned about her. I figured you must like her. We're just friends, he said quickly. I just can't stand by and watch you hurt her like this. Friends? I chuckled internally. You were a lot more than friends in my past life. If you're just friends, then you should be telling her to move on, Not to keep chasing me, I said, standing up. It's over between us. There is zero chance we're getting back together. Are you really that heartless? Chris stood up too. Sophia gave so much for you. Gave so much. I couldn't help but laugh. What did she give? Let me do her homework for her. Let me give up MIT to go to state school with her? You called it a sacrifice. Chris was left speechless. Chris, I know what you're up to, I said, leaning in and lower my voice. You like Sophia? I'm out of the picture now, so this is your chance. Make the most of it. With that, I turned and walked out. I heard Chris call after me, Leo, wait, but I didn't stop. I saw right through him. On the surface, he was here to convince me to get back with Sophia. In reality, he just wanted to confirm that I was really done with her. Now that he had his confirmation, he could pursue her without any guilt. Their pathetic little games were laughably transparent to the me who had already lived through it all once. Back home, I went back to studying Python. The language was more interesting than I'd expected, logical with clean syntax. I followed the tutorials and quickly got the hang of the basics. Just as I was getting lost in the world of code, my mom knocked on my door. Leo, Sophia's mother is here. What? Sophia's mother? My heart sank. This part happened in my past life, too. Sophia was calling in reinforcements. I don't want to see her, I said. She's already here. We can't just kick her out, my mom said, looking troubled. Just come out for a few minutes and make things clear. I sighed and left my room. A middle-aged woman was sitting in the living room, Sophia's mother, Mrs. Evans. When she saw me, her expression was complicated. Leo, have a seat, my mom said. I sat on the couch, waiting for Mrs. Evans to speak. Leo, I hear you want to break up with my Sophia, she said, getting straight to the point. Yes, Mrs. Evans, I nodded. Why? Her voice was edged with agitation. You two have been together since freshman year. You've always had such a good relationship. We're not a good fit, I repeated. What not a good fit? She pressed. Whatever Sophia did wrong, she can change. I looked at Mrs. Evans and felt a wave of disgust. In my past life, this was the woman who had whispered in my ear for hours, telling me our families already considered us engaged, that Sophia couldn't live without me. The young me was swayed by her words and almost gave in. But not this time. Mrs. Evans, Sophia and I are really not right for each other, I said firmly. I hope you can understand. Not right for each other? Mrs. Evans's voice rose. You've been dating for 3 years. How can you suddenly not be right for each other? Is there another girl? Her accusation was ugly, and even my mom's expression hardened. Karen, that's not fair. My mom cut in. I know my son. There's no other girl. He just feels that he and Sophia aren't compatible. Not compatible? Mrs. Evans sneered. I think he's just ashamed of Sophia's grades. She had hit the nail on the head, so I stopped being polite. Yes, I admitted directly. I don't want my relationship to jeopardize my future. Mrs. Evans stared at me, wide-eyed, clearly shocked by my bluntness. You're so cynical, she said, pointing at me. Doesn't love mean anything to you? It's important, but it's not the most important thing, I said calmly. Mrs. Evans, you wouldn't want Sophia to marry a man with no future, would you? What do you mean? She asked, confused. If I gave up MIT for Sophia and went to a state school, what kind of career could I build in 4 years? I countered. When I can't find a good job and Sophia has to struggle with me, would you be happy with that? Mrs. Evans was silenced. So, breaking up is better for everyone, I said, standing up. I'll go to MIT and work hard to become successful, and Sophia can find a boyfriend who is a better fit for her. With that, I went back to my room, ignoring the sounds of the argument in the living room. About an hour later, Mrs. Evans left. My mom knocked on my door and came in. Leo, are you okay? I'm fine, he smiled. Mom, do you think I did the right thing? Absolutely, she said, sitting on my bed. A girl who truly loves you wouldn't hold you back. Both she and her mother are far too selfish. Hearing my mom say that, my heart warmed. A mother always knows best. 5 in the days that followed, there was complete silence from Sophia's end. I figured she had finally given up, or maybe Chris had successfully consoled her. Either way, I didn't care. At the end of July, my acceptance letter from MIT arrived. Looking at the official letterhead, a huge sense of accomplishment washed over me. This was what I deserved, what I had fought to get back. My mom was even more excited than I was, immediately calling every relative and friend to share the news. My son got into MIT, she announced proudly over the phone. Seeing how happy she was made me smile. Making her proud, proving my own worth, it was all worth it. In mid-August, I started my final preparations for college. Buying a suitcase, packing my things, reading up on student life guides. Every step was filled with an exhilarating sense of a new beginning. Just then, I received an unexpected call. Hello, is this Leo? It's Maya Chun. Maya Chun? I thought for a moment. She was the top student in our class, a really brilliant girl. Yeah, this is him. What's up? Well, I was also accepted to MIT, and I was wondering when you were heading to Boston, maybe we could travel together. Maya's voice was gentle and friendly. Traveling together? That was actually a great idea. Having a classmate along for the journey would make it less boring. Sure, I'm planning to leave at the end of the month. That's perfect. Me too. Maya sounded happy. We could get to know the campus together before classes start. After hanging up, I suddenly remembered that in my past life, Maya had also gone to MIT. But back then, I was so wrapped up in my drama with Sophia that I had paid no attention to this outstanding girl. Thinking about it now, Maya was brilliant, had a great personality, and was in every way superior to Sophia. But I wasn't looking for a relationship right now. My studies were the priority. On August 28th, Maya and I took a train to Boston together. On the train, we talked a lot. I discovered that Maya wasn't just smart. She was also incredibly well-read and interesting to talk to. Leo, why did you choose computer science? Maya asked curiously. Because I think it's the future, I replied. Computers are going to change the entire world. You're right, Maya nodded. Issues économiques. I'm hoping to make a mark in the business world someday. Hearing her words, something sparked in my mind. In my past life, I remembered that Maya had indeed become a successful entrepreneur and had even founded her own company. If the opportunity arose, maybe we could work together. After arriving in Boston, we went to our separate dorms. The MIT campus was even more beautiful than I had imagined, a perfect blend of historic architecture and modern facilities. Walking through the grounds, I felt a swell of pride. This was the start of my new life. That evening, I called my mom to let her know I had arrived safely. Mom, I'm here. It's great. That's good to hear. Study hard and don't get too homesick. My mom's voice was tinged with sadness, but overflowing with pride. I will. After the call, I looked out my window at the city lights, my heart filled with determination. This time, I was going to live a truly spectacular life. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from a classmate I hadn't spoken to in a while. Leo, did you hear? Sophia and Chris are officially together. Seeing the message, I just smiled faintly, just as I had predicted. I replied with a simple K and put my phone aside. Sophia's life was no longer my concern. My own life was just beginning. 6. College life was even more fulfilling and exciting than I had imagined. The computer science curriculum was challenging, but for the reborn me, it wasn't difficult. With the foundation from my past life and the studying I did over the summer, I quickly became one of the top students in my class. More importantly, I met so many brilliant classmates and professors. My roommate, Jake Williams, was a tech fanatic who spent every waking moment coding. Then there was Kevin Reynolds, who was quiet but had a razor-sharp mind and always offered unique insights. The four of us in our dorm formed a small team, constantly discussing technical problems and working on projects together. Leo, your code is beautiful, Jake said, admiring my latest assignment. The logic is clean, the structure is elegant. It's like a work of art. You're exaggerating, I laughed. There's still a lot of room for improvement. Don't be modest. You're already coding at the level of a junior, Kevin added. Hearing my classmates' praise made me genuinely happy. This feeling of being recognized for my skills was so much better than being in a relationship. Besides my studies, I also joined several clubs. I joined the Computer Science Association and contributed to a few open-source projects. I also joined the Entrepreneurship Club, where I discussed business models with students from other departments. My days were packed, and I barely had a moment to think about Sophia. When she did cross my mind, it was only with a sense of relief that I hadn't let her drag me down. In October, the university held a programming competition. My roommates and I formed a team, and after a fierce competition, we won first place. Standing on the stage, looking out at the admiring faces in the audience, I felt an incredible sense of achievement. This was the life I wanted, not living for someone else, but fighting for my own dreams. After the awards ceremony, a professor approached me. "Leo Miller, I'm Professor Davis from the School of Engineering," he said, shaking my hand. "Your performance was outstanding. Are you interested in joining my research team?" A research team? I was ecstatic. Getting the chance to join a professor's research team as a freshman was a rare and valuable opportunity for my academic career. Absolutely. I accepted without hesitation. "Excellent," Professor Davis smiled. "My team is focused on artificial intelligence. I think you have a real talent for it." Artificial intelligence. That was exactly the field I was interested in. Although I never had the chance to study it in depth in my past life, I had always followed its development. "Professor, when can I start?" "You can start next Monday," he said. "I'll give you some materials to review beforehand." Holding the papers Professor Davis gave me, my heart pounded with excitement. This was a new starting point in my life. Back in my dorm, I eagerly started reading. The papers were all cutting-edge research on machine learning and deep learning. They were complex, but I could feel the immense potential they held. "Leo, you're on your way to becoming the king of the nerds," Jake said, looking at the papers in my hand with envy. "Let's work hard together," I smiled. "Maybe one day, we can build something that changes the world." "I'm all for that," Kevin chimed in. "Then we'll be the titans of tech." Seeing my roommates so fired up, I felt a warmth spread through my chest. This kind of friendship was more valuable than anything. Just as we were excitedly discussing our future, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar Boston number. "Hello. Is this Leo Miller?" "It's Sophia." The familiar voice sent a jolt through me. "Sophia? How did you get my number? And why was she calling from a Boston number?" "You're in Boston?" I asked. "Yes, I came to find you." Sophia's voice trembled. "Can we meet?" I frowned. What was she doing in Boston? Was she still not giving up? "We have nothing to talk about," I said flatly. "Leo, please, just meet me once," she begged, her voice breaking into a sob. "I have something really important to tell you." "Something important?" I sneered internally. In my past life, she was always finding excuses to bother me. "I don't want to see you," I said, preparing to hang up. "Now," she suddenly yelled. "Chris is dead." "What?" My hand trembled, and I almost dropped my phone. "Chris was dead. How is that possible?" "What are you talking about?" "I'm not lying," she cried. "He was in a car accident last month. He died instantly." I was stunned. This was completely different from my past life. In my past life, Chris was alive and well and had a child with Sophia. How could he be dead this time? What does that have to do with me? I forced myself to remain calm. "Leo, I know you hate me, but I'm in so much pain." Sophia's voice grew fainter. "I'm all alone in Boston. I have no one. I really don't know what to do." Hearing her words, a flicker of pity stirred within me, but I quickly suppressed it. I couldn't be soft. Absolutely not. "Sophia, I'm sorry for what happened to you, but it really has nothing to do with me," I said firmly. "You should go home to your parents." "I can't go back," she said, suddenly agitated. "I'm pregnant. It's Chris's baby." Pregnant again? A wave of disgust washed over me. Why did she always use this excuse? "Then you have even more reason to go home," I said coldly. "Your parents will take care of you." "Now," Sophia started to say something else, but I had already hung up. Then I blocked her number. No matter what she said, I wouldn't believe her again. Hadn't I been fooled enough in my last life? My roommates saw the look on my face. "Leo, what's wrong?" they asked with concern. "Nothing. Just a scam call," I said, waving it off and returning to my reading. But it was a lie to say I was unaffected. Chris's death confused me. Why was this life so different from the last one? Could it be that my rebirth had somehow changed things? I couldn't figure it out, so I decided not to think about it. Whatever the reason, it wasn't my problem. I needed to focus on my education and my career. Everything else was irrelevant. 7. Over the next few days, I forced myself to forget Sophia's call and threw myself into my studies and research. Joining Professor Davis's team opened up a whole new world for me. The team was full of brilliant PhD and master's students, and I learned an immense amount from them. "Leo, you have a very deep understanding of deep learning," a PhD student named Lou told me. "It's hard to believe you're only a freshman." "I just did some reading on my own," I said modestly. "It's more than just reading. You have a very mature way of thinking," Professor Davis added. I believe you have the potential to make significant contributions to this field. The professor's praise was all the motivation I needed. This was the kind of validation I craved. Just as I was enjoying the thrill of academic research, another incident occurred. That afternoon, I was leaving the lab to get dinner. As I approached my dorm, I saw a familiar figure standing by the entrance. It was Sophia. She was much thinner than before, her face pale and her eyes red and swollen. She looked utterly exhausted. What shocked me the most was her visibly rounded belly. She was actually pregnant. When she saw me, Sophia immediately walked over. "Leo, you're finally here. I've been waiting for you for 3 days. How did you find me?" I frowned. "I asked some of your classmates," she said. "Leo, can we please talk?" "I already told you. We have nothing to talk about," I said, trying to walk past her into the dorm. "Now," Sophia grabbed my sleeve. "Please, just 5 minutes. That's all I ask." I stopped and looked at her haggard face. A pang of pity shot through me, but I quickly reminded myself, do not give in. "Sophia, harassing me like this is pointless," I said, pulling my arm away. "We broke up, and you're carrying another man's child. Leo, can you please just help me?" Sophia begged, her eyes filled with tears. "I'm in a really tough spot right now. You should go to Chris's family. It's their responsibility. His family won't acknowledge the baby." She cried, getting agitated. "They said I got pregnant on purpose to get their money." I sneered internally. It seemed Chris's family was even more ruthless than I'd thought. "Then you should terminate the pregnancy and start over," I said flatly. "I can't," she shook her head. "This baby is all I have left of him." "That's your choice, and it has nothing to do with me," I said, turning to leave. "Leo," she yelled after me, "can you really be so heartless? We dated for 3 years. I hesitated for a moment, but kept walking. 3 years of my life. In my past life, those words might have moved me. But in this life, I knew the truth. Those 3 years were nothing but my own one-sided devotion. She had never truly loved me. When I got back to my dorm, my roommates saw that something was wrong. "Leo, what happened?" they asked. "My ex-girlfriend showed up," I said simply. "Your ex?" Jake's curiosity was piqued. "What's the story?" I briefly explained the situation with Sophia, leaving out the part about being reborn. "Wow, that girl has some nerve," Kevin said angrily. "Showing up here pregnant with another guy's kid?" "Exactly. That's emotional blackmail," Jake added, equally indignant. "Leo, whatever you do, don't give in to her." "I know," I nodded. "I'm not going to get involved." "Good," they all said, supporting my decision. With my friends backing me up, my resolve hardened. The next day, I went to class as usual. As I left the dorm, I saw Sophia waiting downstairs again. She looked like she hadn't slept at all, her eyes bloodshot. "Leo, I've thought it over," she said, walking up to me. "I'm not going to bother you anymore." I stopped and looked at her. "I just have one last favor to ask," she said. "Can you lend me $2,000 so I can get a bus ticket home?" $2,000? I scoffed. Was she trying to scam me one last time before she left? "Sophia, I'm not lending you any money," I said flatly. "You can ask your parents for it." "I've cut ties with my family," she said with a bitter smile. "My parents disowned me because I got pregnant." "That was your choice," I said mercilessly. "Now," she started to say more, but I was already walking away. I would not be fooled by her tears and her sob stories again. This time, I was seeing it through to the end. That evening, I got an unexpected call. It was from Maya. "Leo, I heard there was a girl causing a scene at your dorm." "How did you know?" I asked, surprised. "News travels fast," Maya laughed. "Everyone's talking about how your pregnant ex-girlfriend showed up to find you." I gave a tired laugh. Gossip really does spread like wildfire. "Is she the one from high school?" Maya asked. "You could say that," I said, not wanting to elaborate. "Leo, you need to be careful," Maya said, her tone suddenly serious. "I don't think this girl is as simple as she seems." "What do you mean?" "I saw her today. She looks pitiful, but her eyes are very sharp," Maya analyzed. "And she's very strategic. She deliberately causes a scene in a crowded place to put pressure on you." Maya's analysis hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't believe how perceptive she was, seeing right through Sophia's act. "You're right," I admitted. "She's always been manipulative." "Then you need to be even more careful," Maya warned. "A woman like that won't give up until she gets what she wants." After hanging up, My admiration for Maya grew. Brilliant people truly have a keen sense of insight. Compared to her, Sophia's petty schemes seemed childish. For the next week, Sophia was a fixture outside my dorm. Sometimes she stood by the entrance, other times she sat on a bench, always making sure she was visible to everyone. Her tactic worked. Soon, the entire department knew I had a pregnant ex-girlfriend harassing me. Some students who didn't know the full story started giving me dirty looks, thinking I was heartless. "Leo, that girl looks really miserable," a classmate said to me. "Are you sure you're not going to help her?" "It has nothing to do with me," I said firmly. "But she's pregnant with someone else's child." I cut him off. While some people didn't understand, my roommates and true friends had my back. "Leo is doing the right thing." Jake defended me in our class group chat. "This woman is just trying to emotionally blackmail him." "Exactly. Showing up with another guy's baby to bother her ex? That's insane," Kevin added. With my friend's support, my resolve grew even stronger. But Sophia clearly wasn't done. The following week, she escalated her tactics. She started crying loudly outside the dorm, telling anyone who would listen her tragic story. How her boyfriend had died, how her family had disowned her, and how she was now homeless. She was a good actress. Her performance was convincing, and she garnered a lot of sympathy. Some kind-hearted students even started bringing her food and water. "That girl's story is so sad," a female student told me. "She said her boyfriend died and her family kicked her out. She has no money at all." "Leo, even if you don't feel anything for her anymore, you should at least have some compassion," another classmate advised. Faced with this, I could only offer a cold smile. Sophia was brilliant. In just a few words, she had painted herself as the victim and me as the villain. But I wouldn't be swayed. I knew who she really was, and I knew what she wanted. She wanted me to feel sorry for her, so she could regain control over me. This time, I would not fall for it. Just as I was holding my ground, an unexpected person appeared. That afternoon, I was coming back from the library and saw a crowd gather in front of my dorm. As I got closer, I saw Sophia arguing with a middle-aged woman. "Sophia, please just come home with me," the woman pleaded, grabbing Sophia's arm. "What's the point of all this?" It was Sophia's mother, Mrs. Evans. "I'm not going back," Sophia cried, shaking her off. "You said you disowned me, remember? I was just angry. How could you take that seriously?" Mrs. Evans said, her eyes welling with tears. "Seeing you like this is breaking my heart." The onlookers were all on Sophia's side. "That poor girl. She's even fighting with her family. Yeah, and pregnant too. It's so sad. Her ex-boyfriend must be a real piece of work." Hearing their comments, I sneered. Sophia was putting on a show, casting herself as the tragic heroine abandoned by her family and her lover. But I wasn't buying it. Just then, Mrs. Evans saw me. "Leo," she exclaimed, rushing over. "You're finally here." The crowd's attention shifted to me, their eyes filled with condemnation. "Mrs. Evans," I nodded politely. "Leo, look at what's become of my daughter," she cried, grabbing my hand. "She's like this because of you. How can you be so cruel?" "Mrs. Evans, you're mistaken," I said calmly. "Sophia is not like this because of me." "What do you mean?" she asked, stunned. "She's pregnant with Chris Hayes' child, not mine," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We broke up a long time ago." A wave of shock went through the crowd. "What? It's not his baby? Then why is she harassing him? What's really going on here?" Sophia's face went white. She clearly hadn't expected me to reveal the truth in public. "Leo," she shrieked, grabbing my arm. "How could you say that?" "I'm telling the truth," I said, shaking her off. "Sophia, this has gone on long enough." "Leo, what's happening?" Mrs. Evans was completely bewildered. "Sophia, she—" "Mrs. Evans, let me explain," I said, taking a deep breath. I quickly recounted the whole story. I left out the part about being reborn, of course. I just said that after graduation, I realized we weren't a good fit and broke up. Then Sophia got together with Chris. He died in an accident, and now she was pregnant and homeless and had come to me for help. After hearing the truth, the onlookers were stunned. So that's what really happened. No wonder. Who shows up pregnant with another guy's kid to bother their ex? This girl has no shame. Seeing the tide of public opinion turn against her, Sophia panicked. "Leo, you can't do this to me," she cried, tears streaming down her face. We were together for 3 years. You can't treat me like this. It's because we were together for 3 years that I know exactly who you are, I said coldly. Sophia, it's time to wake up. With that, I turned and walked away. This time, I was severing all ties with her for good. I could hear her sobs behind me, but I didn't look back. I had given her a chance. She was the one who threw it away. From now on, her life had nothing to do with me. After the truth came out, Sophia no longer had the audacity to show her face on campus. The next day, she left Boston with her mother. Before she left, she sent me one last text. Leo, I will never forgive you. I just smiled, then deleted the message. Fine by me. I didn't care about her forgiveness anyway. With Sophia gone, I was finally free. Without her distractions, I could focus completely on my studies and research. Under Professor Davis's guidance, my academic progress was remarkable. In November, I co-authored a paper that was published in a top academic journal and won a national scholarship. This was a huge achievement for a freshman. Leo, you have a real gift, Professor Davis told me. You should seriously consider applying for the PhD program directly after your bachelor's. A direct path to a PhD? It was a tempting offer, but I felt it was better to take it one step at a time and finish my undergraduate degree first. Professor, I think I'd like to complete my bachelor's first, I said. A strong foundation will serve me better in the long run. You're right, he nodded. But in the meantime, you can start participating in some higher-level research projects. That would be amazing. With Professor Davis's support, my academic path became even smoother. At the same time, my friendship with Maya deepened. We often studied together, discussed academic problems, and attended events. Leo, what do you think the future of AI will look like? Maya asked me one evening. We were sitting by the campus lake, the moonlight shimmering on the water. It was beautiful and serene. I think AI will fundamentally change human society, I said seriously. From industrial manufacturing to daily life, from healthcare and education to entertainment, everything will be redefined by AI. That's a powerful thought, Maya nodded. So the knowledge we're gaining now will be incredibly valuable. Exactly, I said, turning to look at her. Maya, have you ever thought about starting a company after graduation? A startup? A spark of excitement lit up her eyes. What are you thinking? I want to build an AI company focused on developing intelligent algorithms and applications. I shared my idea with her. This is the golden age of AI, and the opportunities are endless. That's a brilliant idea. Maya's voice was filled with excitement. If you're serious about it, count me in. It's a deal, I said, holding out my hand. Deal, she said, sealing it with a handshake. Under the moonlight, we made a pact for the future. It felt incredible to have a like-minded friend to strive with. It was more meaningful than anything else. In December, the university held its annual awards ceremony. For my outstanding performance in various competitions, I was named Student of the Year. Standing on stage accepting the award, I looked out at the teachers and students in the audience and felt a profound sense of gratitude. This place had given me a second chance and helped me find my true self. After the ceremony, I called my mom to share the good news. Leo, I'm so proud of you, she said, her voice filled with emotion. I knew you wouldn't let me down. Mom, this is just the beginning, I laughed. I'm going to achieve even greater things. I know you will, honey. I believe in you. Hanging up, I was filled with a new sense of purpose. This was just the first chapter of my new life. There were much bigger stages waiting for me. Just then, my roommate Jake ran up to me. Leo, someone's here to see you. Who is it? Says he's from your hometown. He's waiting downstairs. From my hometown? Puzzled, I followed Jake downstairs. When I saw who it was, I froze. It was Sophia's father, Mr. Evans. Leo, I need to talk to you, he said. He looked exhausted, his eyes weary. Mr. Evans, what are you doing here? I asked. It's about Sophia, he sighed. Leo, I need to ask you for a favor. My stomach tightened. Surely, he wasn't here to ask me to help Sophia again. Mr. Evans, if this is about Sophia, I'm afraid I can't help, I said directly. I'm not asking you to help her, he said, shaking his head. I'm asking you to convince her to terminate the pregnancy. What? I stared at him stunned. I never expected him to say that. She's still so young. She shouldn't be tied down by this baby for the rest of her life, he said, his eyes tearing up. But she won't listen to us. She's determined to have this child. Then why are you asking me to talk to her? I asked. Because she's still in love with you, he said with a bitter smile. Maybe you're the only one she'll listen to. His words left a complicated feeling in my gut. The old me might have been moved by that, but the new me saw through it all. Mr. Evans, I think you're mistaken, I said seriously. Sophia was never in love with me. She was just using me. Leo, how can you say that? Sir, think about it. If Sophia really loved me, would she have tried to stop me from coming to MIT? I countered. If she really loved me, would she have gotten with another guy the second we broke up? Mr. Evans was speechless. So, whatever she chooses to do now has nothing to do with me, I said firmly. I'm not getting involved in her life ever again. With that, I turned to leave. Leo, he called after me, don't you have any feelings left for her at all? I stopped and looked back at him. Mr. Evans, it's because I still respect the kindness your family once showed me that I'm giving you this advice. Please don't come looking for me again. It's better for everyone this way. Then, I walked away and didn't look back. I could hear his heavy sigh behind me, but my resolve didn't waver. I had given them every chance. They were the ones who didn't cherish it. From this day forward, I was done with the past. My future was all that mattered. Time flew by, and soon it was the spring semester of my freshman year. After a semester of hard work, I made even greater academic breakthroughs. I not only published another paper, but also won a prestigious national scholarship. More importantly, Maya and I made substantial progress with our startup plan. Leo, I found an investor, Maya said, running up to me with excitement. They're very interested in our project. Really? I was thrilled. Which venture capital firm? A partner at Sequoia Capital. He read our business plan and thinks it has huge potential. That's incredible. After several rounds of negotiations, we successfully secured our angel investment. Though we were still students, we had already started building our own company. We named it Nexus AI, focusing on the research and application of artificial intelligence algorithms. Leo, how big do you think our company can get? Maya asked. We're aiming for unicorn status. At least, I said confidently. AI is the future, and we have a first-mover advantage. Then let's do it together. Seeing Maya's bright smile, I felt a warmth in my heart. This was the kind of partner I wanted, smart, ambitious, and on the same wavelength. With her, I could focus on our shared goals without ever worrying about being held back. In May, I received another unexpected phone call. It was my high school guidance counselor, Ms. Davison. Leo, how are things going for you? She asked warmly. Everything's great, Ms. Davison. Thanks for asking. That's good to hear. She paused for a moment. Actually, I'm calling to tell you something. What is it? It's Sophia. She passed away. What? My mind went blank, and I felt my knees buckle. Sophia was dead? What happened? I asked, my voice trembling. Complications from childbirth. Ms. Davison sighed. She insisted on having the baby, but there was a major hemorrhage during labor. They couldn't save her. I stood there, frozen, unable to speak for a long time. Even though I had cut all ties with Sophia, hearing about her death stirred a complex mix of emotions inside me. What about the baby? I asked. The baby survived. It's a boy, she said. Sophia's parents are taking care of him now. After hanging up, I sat down, unable to calm myself for a long time. Sophia was dead. The girl I had dated for 3 years, the woman who had nearly ruined my life, was gone from this world. I couldn't quite pinpoint what I was feeling. There was a sense of release, but also a hint of regret. If she had just chosen to support me, if she hadn't been so selfish, perhaps her life would have turned out completely different. But there are no what-ifs in life. She chose her own path, and she bore the consequences. That evening, Maya came to find me. Leo, I heard you got some bad news, she asked with concern. A high school classmate passed away, I said simply. A close friend. We were once, I said with a bitter smile. A long time ago. Maya seemed to sense my mood and didn't press further. She just sat with me in comfortable silence. Life is short, she said softly. That's why we have to cherish every day and do things that matter. You're right, I nodded. You only get one life. You can't waste it. Then we have to work even harder, Maya said, taking my hand. We have to live extraordinary lives. Feeling the warmth of her hand, the gloom in my heart began to lift. Yes, Sophia's life was over, but mine was just beginning. For my dreams, and for the people who cared about me, I had to keep going. I had to live the most brilliant life possible. In June, our company was officially incorporated. Though we were still students, we had already landed our first contract. Standing in our new office, looking at the words Nexus AI on the wall, I felt an immense sense of accomplishment. This was the first milestone of my new life, but it certainly wouldn't be the last. Leo, what are you thinking about? Maya asked, coming to my side. I'm thinking about the future, I smiled. Our company, our work, our lives. And what do you see? I see endless possibilities, I said, turning to her. Maya, thank you for walking this path with me. I should be thanking you, she smiled back. You're the one who gave me the chance to chase my dreams. We looked at each other and smiled, our eyes filled with a shared vision for the future. In that moment, I knew I had made all the right choices. Letting go of Sophia, choosing MIT, choosing this path. It was all worth it.